I notice my mind getting drawn into commenting on and taking sides on world events and world leaders a lot lately. Two sentences from Bhagwan's teachings in paragraph 19 of Nanyar helped. Quote, "It is not appropriate to let one's mind dwell excessively on worldly matters. To the extent possible, it is not appropriate to intrude in others' affairs. I wondered if you ever had reminders that helped the attention turn within when being swayed or caught up by a particular type of asana. Thank you."
Yes, this is a problem we all have, and particularly the present state of the world. Naturally, to the extent to which we allow our mind to go outwards, we do get it's very easy for us to dwell upon all these things, and to get caught up in that. But this following Bhagavan's path, it requires moment by moment vigilance. If we allow, that is, Bhagavan's path is a path of constantly attending to our own being. If we allow our attention to slip away towards other things, we rise as ego, and as ego we rise with all our vasanas, and we have so many concerns, insecurities. We may have different political views, we may have so many different views we may have. And it's very easy to get caught up in all these things. On Bhagavan's path, we are slowly trying to wean our mind off its concern with anything other than knowing and being what we actually are. But this is a gradual process. So when we find our mind is constantly being drawn out by, for example, the present state of world affairs it's very natural for us as a person to be concerned about what is happening in the world, all the injustices, the wars, and so many things, and all the politicians and the way politicians are behaving and what they're doing. It's very easy for us to get caught up in all these things, but it's important to remember that, as Bhagavan says, there's one Parameshwara Shakti, one supreme ruling power, divine power, that is driving all these things. We, from our perspective, we say this is good, that is bad, but this is all our judgments according to our own likes and dislikes. Ultimately, everything is happening as it's meant to happen. Wars and so many injustices, these have been happening from time immemorial. This is the nature of samsara, the nature of embodied existence. There will always be individuals who try to get more power and dominate over others and exploit others. And so this is just the nature of this world, the nature of samsara. So, and we are very susceptible to getting caught up in this ourselves. So if we want to follow Bhagavan's path, we need to be constantly remembering that our real mission, we cannot change this world. We cannot, however concerned that we are about what is happening in the world, what can we do to change it? There's nothing. All we can do, if we are wise, is to turn within to the source, because ultimately, as Bhagavan made clear, all of this is ultimately just a dream. It's our own mental fabrication. This all appears when we allow our mind to go outwards. So if we are wise, we need to try more and more to turn within and to give up our concern with all these things. Of course, we're pained when we see injustices. Of course, we're pained when we see how the myriad ways in which people suffer in this world. And a lot of this suffering, it's caused by, we cause each other so much suffering through our greed and people and trying to take more for ourselves. And for others, and this leads to all sorts of conflicts and wars and everything. But if we want to go beyond all these things, the root of all these problems is our rising as ego. And Bhagavan has given us a simple solution to put an end to the rising of ego. Simply, so long as we allow our attention to go outwards, we are feeding this ego. When we turn our attention back within, to the extent to which we attend to our own being, we as ego thereby subside and merge back into our being. So we should always remember that our real mission is is to turn within and to subside back into the heart, to be as we actually are. So that advice that Bhagavan gives us in verse 19, in paragraph 19 of Nana, that's very, very important advice, because that is, Bhagavan has, in so many ways, he's cautioning us against allowing our mind to go outwards, because the more we go outwards, the more we get caught up in all this samsara. I hope that was a clear and adequate answer to that question.
Thank you.
I think that was quite an important question, because I think people are very, very caught up in all this.
I think we are all, to a greater or lesser extent, distressed by what is happening in the world at the moment.
Yes, I find it very interesting, because I'm a bit of an outsider to all this, and so and many of the lessons, sort of, which because for Europe and the West, their own identity and identifications are of a certain kind based on a history of really being top dog. So the idea of maybe disidentifying a bit with one's identity, one's whatever values, and seeing that we have to take on board other people's interests. We have to be a bit careful about these powers. Because in India, you've got China, you've got Europe, you've got sort of the US, and you have to step back a little bit and see how to manage without getting into a big fight. But it's very difficult, I think, and I think a bit of humility in all of us to be able to see clearly, so we don't get into fights, is always useful. A calm mind.
Ultimately, all these problems are the problems of ego. Different egos are trying to assert themselves in different ways. But all these many egos we see outside are nothing but a reflection of our own ego. So if we want to put an end to all these egos, all we need to do is to turn within and allow this ego to dissolve back into its source. And as you say, all this is to do with identification, because we identify ourselves as, I am European, I am American, I'm Canadian, I'm Indian, I'm whatever. We feel threatened by different forces that are there in the world, that are threatening our particular identity.
Thank you. That was extremely fantastic summary.